Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling utterly depleted, as if a piece of your very essence had been siphoned off, leaving you hollowed out and questioning your own sanity? Perhaps you've attributed this to encountering a narcissist, the universally recognized emotional vampire. But what if I told you that the narcissist is merely the most obvious predator in a hidden ecosystem of psychic hunters? What if there are other, far more subtle and insidious types of individuals who possess an uncanny ability to drain your energy, exploit your empathy, and leave you doubting your most fundamental perceptions? This isn't just about bad vibes. This is about a profound energetic exchange that can leave you wounded, confused, and dangerously disempowered. For far too long, the spotlight has been exclusively on the narcissist, leading us to believe they are the sole architects of our emotional torment. But the brilliant mind of Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist who dared to map the uncharted territories of the human psyche, stumbled upon something far more chilling, a phenomenon he referred to as a frightening transformation. Jung observed that certain individuals, often those with heightened sensitivity and a deep capacity for empathy, individuals much like you, seem to attract, almost magnetically, those who sought to feed on their life force. He saw a dynamic that went beyond simple personality disorders, hinting at a darker, more archetypal pattern of energy predation that was rarely discussed, let alone understood. If you are someone who feels intensely, whose intuition often whispers warnings that your rational mind struggles to accept, or if you've ever felt misunderstood, exploited, or as if your experiences of betrayal were somehow your own fault, then Jung's forgotten observations are not just academic. They are a critical map to your liberation. We are not here to label you a victim, but to recontextualize your sensitivity from a perceived weakness into an astonishingly potent form of power. The problem isn't your empathy. The problem is the lack of awareness about the other types of psychic predators who thrive in its shadow. So the urgent questions become, what exactly are these other three types of psychic predators who exist beyond the well-known narcissist, and how do they operate in plain sight, often undetected by conventional psychological frameworks? More importantly, why are highly sensitive individuals, empaths like you, their prime targets, and what makes your unique energetic signature so attractive to them? And finally, how can understanding these ancient, often subconscious dynamics not only protect you from future exploitation, but also transform your intrinsic sensitivity into an unshakable fortress of strategic awareness and resilient self-empowerment? This isn't just a revelation. It's a call to conscious transformation, a journey from being preyed upon to becoming powerfully, strategically aware. You've likely heard the term narcissist, a word that has become almost colloquial to describe anyone self-absorbed or manipulative. And it's true, the overt narcissist, driven by an insatiable need for external validation and admiration, is a potent psychic predator. Their grandiosity, their entitlement, their charming facade often gives way to a ruthless exploitation of those around them. They feed on your attention, your praise, your very emotional energy, leaving you hollowed out and questioning your sanity. But what if I told you that the narcissist is just the tip of the iceberg? What if the most insidious threats to your energetic well-being, to your very soul, operate in far more subtle, even seemingly benevolent ways? Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist, observed a frightening transformation in highly sensitive individuals, empaths, if you will, when they encountered certain archetypal energies. He saw how their open, porous nature, a wellspring of connection and understanding, could become a profound vulnerability. Not because they were weak, but precisely because their strength, their capacity to feel deeply, was being weaponized against them. These aren't just toxic people. These are true psychic predators operating on a different wavelength, seeking to drain specific aspects of your being. And understanding them is the first, most crucial step towards reclaiming your power. We're going to unveil three types you might never have fully recognized, the architects of your energetic drain, and how to turn your sensitivity into an impenetrable shield. This predator doesn't seek your adoration. They seek your emotional labor. They are masters of the covert operation, subtly weaving a web of dependence and obligation around you. The emotional alchemist is often charming, sometimes even disarmingly vulnerable, But their vulnerability is a carefully crafted tool, not a genuine expression. They are the ones who always have a crisis, whose life perpetually seems to be teetering on the brink of disaster. And somehow you, the empath, become their unwitting emotional caretaker. Why they drain you? The emotional alchemist fundamentally lacks a developed sense of self-regulation and inner emotional resourcefulness. They are like a bottomless pit of unresolved feelings, constantly searching for an external source to fill their void. They cannot process their own emotional landscape, so they project it onto you, expecting you to not just listen, but to absorb and process their chaotic inner world. This isn't about seeking advice. It's about seeking energetic sustenance. They thrive on the emotional energy you expend, trying to comfort them, solve their problems, or simply bear witness to their perpetual suffering. They are experts at creating an environment where your empathy is not only welcomed but demanded, leaving you emotionally exhausted and overwhelmed with your own needs consistently unmet. How they operate: the subtle art of emotional extortion. Imagine a friend who calls you late at night in tears, describing an argument with their partner. You listen for hours, offering comfort, solutions, validation. The next day, they call again. Same crisis, same tears, ignoring all your previous advice. This isn't incompetence, it's a strategy. Their goal isn't resolution, it's the continuous flow of your empathetic energy. They might subtly gaslight your feelings by framing any attempt you make to establish boundaries as you being uncaring or unsupportive. They'll say, "I thought you cared about me, but I guess I was wrong." Or, "You're the only one who understands me, but now you're pulling away when I need you most." They weaponize guilt, making you feel responsible for their happiness, their stability, their very existence. They are the perpetual victims, and your role as the empath is to be their savior. Statistics show that individuals prone to excessive rumination and externalizing blame are often unconsciously seeking emotional regulation from others. They see your emotional generosity not as a gift, but as a renewable resource, endlessly available for their consumption. You are not a friend, you are an emotional battery pack, meticulously drained, cell by cell. The contrast here is stark. A narcissist demands admiration, but an emotional alchemist demands your emotional work. They don't want you to look up to them, they want you to carry them. This predator operates on a different, often more insidious plane. They don't necessarily want your emotions, nor do they overtly crave your praise. What they crave, what they demand, is the absolute control over your mind, your perceptions, your reality. The intellectual architect is threatened by independent thought, by dissenting opinions, by any form of intellectual autonomy that doesn't align perfectly with their meticulously constructed worldview. They are the ones who will relentlessly argue, not to seek truth, but to impose their truth. Why they drain you? At the core of the intellectual architect lies a profound insecurity about their own intellectual validity. They may possess considerable intelligence, but it is often brittle, built on a foundation of rigid dogma rather than genuine curiosity or open-mindedness. They fear being wrong, because being wrong dismantles their carefully curated sense of superiority and control. To compensate for this internal fragility, they must externalize their power, seeking to dominate the cognitive landscapes of those around them. They drain you by forcing you into endless debates, by dismissing your experiences as anecdotal, by systematically invalidating your perspectives until you doubt your own capacity for rational thought. They feed on your intellectual energy, not by absorbing it but by crushing it, leaving you feeling mentally exhausted, silenced, and questioning your own intelligence. How they operate: the siege of your cognition. Consider the family member who, at every gathering, turns every casual conversation into a relentless interrogation, demanding that you justify your choices, your beliefs, your very existence, all while subtly or overtly implying that their perspective is the only correct one. Or the colleague who consistently dismisses your ideas in meetings, not with logical counter-arguments, but with condescending tones and pronouncements of your lack of understanding. They use rhetorical tricks, logical fallacies disguised as wisdom, and an air of unassailable authority. They might cite obscure facts or half-truths, twisting information to fit their narrative, and then challenge you to disprove them, knowing you haven't researched every single detail of their obscure claims. Their goal is to exhaust your mental fortitude, to make you capitulate out of sheer intellectual fatigue. They aren't interested in dialogue, they are interested in dominance. Studies on cognitive dissonance show how individuals, when constantly challenged and contradicted, will often internalize the criticisms to reduce mental discomfort, even if those criticisms are unfounded. The intellectual architect exploits this psychological vulnerability. They present an illusion of intellectual prowess, demanding intellectual submission, transforming your vibrant mental landscape into a wasteland of self-doubt. They leave you with a pervasive sense that your thoughts are inferior, your insights irrelevant, and your independent mind a liability. This is arguably the most insidious and dangerous type of psychic predator, for they prey on your highest ideals, your deepest yearnings for meaning, connection, and spiritual growth. The spiritual siren operates in spaces often associated with healing, enlightenment, and community. A spiritual group, a New Age workshop, a wellness retreat, or even a close-knit self-help circle. They don't want your emotions or your mind. They want your soul, your very sense of purpose and belonging. Why they drain you? The spiritual siren, despite their outward appearance of wisdom, peace, or enlightenment, often harbors a profound, unacknowledged emptiness within themselves. They lack genuine spiritual connection, authentic inner peace, or a true sense of self-worth. To compensate, they build a facade, a carefully curated persona of a guru, a healer, or a spiritual leader. They feed on the collective energy of those who are genuinely seeking light, truth, and community. They siphon your spiritual aspirations, your trust, your longing for transcendence, not to guide you towards it, but to anchor you to them as the sole conduit. They drain you by creating dependence, by making you believe that their path is the only path, and that without their guidance, your spiritual journey is doomed to fail. How they operate: the weaponization of wisdom. Imagine joining a seemingly benevolent spiritual community, led by a charismatic individual. Initially, you feel a profound sense of belonging, purpose, and understanding. The leader speaks beautifully about love, light, and universal truth, but slowly, imperceptibly, the narrative shifts. Questioning the leader's teachings becomes negative energy. Doubting their decisions is framed as a lack of faith or egoic resistance. You're encouraged, then subtly pressured, to dedicate more time, more money, more personal resources to the community, always for the greater good or for your spiritual advancement. Your boundaries are eroded under the guise of surrender or letting go. They use spiritual concepts like karma, divine purpose, or oneness to justify their control, their demands, and even their exploitation. They might isolate you from external friends and family, subtly suggesting that your old connections don't understand your new path. Testimonials and stories from former members of such groups reveal a consistent pattern. Individuals are left feeling spiritually bankrupt, financially depleted, and profoundly betrayed. Their innate longing for connection twisted into a tool of manipulation. The spiritual siren takes your deepest desires for meaning and connection and turns them into chains, binding you to their agenda, leaving your soul parched and questioning the very nature of truth and love. This type is particularly insidious because it masquerades as the very thing it destroys: your path to self-realization and inner peace. Carl Jung's frightening transformation was not a condemnation of empaths, but a profound observation of their latent power. He understood that immense sensitivity, when unchecked and undeveloped, could be exploited, but when consciously understood and integrated, it becomes a formidable strength, a weapon of unparalleled perception and power. You are not destined to be a victim. You are destined to be a strategist of your own energy, a guardian of your inner sanctuary. The power of shadow integration, reclaiming your inner wildness. Empaths, by their very nature, often shy away from what they perceive as negative emotions or traits. They fear anger, assertiveness, or healthy self-interest because these qualities have often been associated with the very people who have harmed them. This leads to the suppression of your own shadow, the parts of yourself that are decisive, protective, and even aggressively boundary-setting. But here's the paradox. To effectively stand against psychic predators, you must be willing to integrate your own inner protector, your own healthy predatory instinct. Integrating the shadow means acknowledging that anger can be a clear signal that a boundary has been violated. Assertiveness is not unkindness, it is clarity. Self-interest is not selfishness, it is self-preservation. When you deny these aspects of yourself, you disarm yourself. A key aspect of Jungian psychology is that true wholeness comes from embracing all aspects of the self, not just the light ones. This isn't about becoming like your abuser, it's about channeling a conscious, ethical strength to protect your precious inner world. You develop a discerning eye, not just for others' shadows, but for your own unconscious tendencies that might leave you vulnerable. For instance, your desire to fix everyone might be a shadow aspect that attracts emotional alchemists. Your intellectual humility might make you a target for the intellectual architect. Your spiritual yearning, when not grounded in discernment, can make you susceptible to the spiritual siren. This conscious awareness is your first line of defense. Strategic self-awareness, your intuition as a high-resolution radar. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sophisticated, high-resolution radar for energetic authenticity. The reason you have felt misunderstood or exploited is precisely because your internal radar picks up frequencies that others miss. The trick is to stop doubting what your radar tells you. When you encounter the subtle manipulations of an emotional alchemist, your gut screams danger, even if their words are butter. When the intellectual architect tries to dismantle your thoughts, you feel a visceral pushback, a mental exhaustion that precedes their verbal assault. When the spiritual siren speaks of love and light, but you feel a coldness, a subtle demand for allegiance, that is your radar detecting the deception. Developing this strategic self-awareness means trusting the unspoken, paying attention to incongruence between words and actions, body language, and energetic resonance. Observing your own reactions. How do you feel after interacting with someone? Energized or drained? Empowered or diminished? Confident or doubtful? Your body is a reliable truth teller. Discernment, not judgment. This isn't about labeling people good or bad, but about discerning their energetic impact on you. This is a purely self-protective measure. Practical steps for transformation. Building your inner fortress. 1. Impenetrable boundaries. Beyond saying no, this is about energetically sealing your field. Visualize a protective bubble around you. Understand that your no is a complete sentence. You do not owe anyone an explanation for protecting your energy. Practice saying it aloud, even to yourself. Learn to recognize the subtle cues when a boundary is being encroached upon. That slight unease, the feeling of being pushed. 2. Energetic cord cutting and cleansing. After interactions, especially with draining individuals, consciously visualize severing any energetic cords that may have formed. Simple practices like mindful breathing, visualization of white light washing over you, or even a symbolic act like a ritual bath can be incredibly effective in clearing residual energy. This is not woo-woo. It's about conscious intent to release energetic attachments that no longer serve you. 3. Reclaiming your narrative. Psychic predators thrive on making you doubt your perceptions and your worth. Actively challenge their narratives. Remind yourself repeatedly of your own inherent value, your experiences, your truths. Keep a journal of your insights and feelings. This creates an external validation system that is impervious to their gaslighting. Your worth is not up for debate. 4. Cultivating your inner sanctuary. Create a sacred mental and physical space where you can retreat and recharge. This could be a meditation practice, a quiet corner in your home, a walk in nature. This sanctuary is your source of strength, a place predators cannot touch. It's where you reconnect with your authentic self and replenish your depleted reserves. 5. Seeking and building aligned community. You are not alone. There are countless others who understand these dynamics. Seek out individuals and communities that validate your experiences, celebrate your sensitivity, and inspire your growth. A strong support network is a powerful deterrent to predatory behavior, as it provides external validation and alternative sources of connection, making you less vulnerable to isolation tactics. Your journey from victim to strategist is not just about protection. It is about profound personal freedom and empowerment. The paradox of your power is that your greatest vulnerability, your deep sensitivity, becomes your greatest strength. It transforms into an unparalleled discernment, a highly attuned internal compass that guides you not just away from danger, but towards opportunities for authentic connection and growth. You move from being reactive, constantly responding to the demands and manipulations of others, to being proactive, consciously choosing your interactions, your energy output, and your boundaries. Your weapon of awareness allows you to spot these patterns not just in others, but in the subtle ways they try to influence you, giving you the power to disengage, to say no, to walk away before you are ensnared. This isn't about becoming cold or closed off. It's about becoming discerning, knowing precisely where and how to extend your precious energy. Imagine living a life where you no longer second-guess your gut feelings, where you trust your intuition implicitly, and where your sensitivity guides you towards genuine connections and away from those who would drain you. This is the future you are building, a future where your empathy is not a burden but a superpower, strategically deployed, deeply protected, and consciously celebrated. You are not just surviving, you are thriving, fully present, fully powerful, and profoundly free. This journey of conscious transformation, of embracing your shadow and integrating your gifts, is the ultimate act of self-love and the most potent defense against those who seek to diminish your light. What type of psychic predator have you encountered the most in your life? How have you learned to navigate these challenging dynamics? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Your story might be the key to someone else's liberation. We have journeyed together through the intricate, often shadowed landscapes of the human psyche, venturing far beyond the familiar territory of the narcissist. We have pulled back the veil, not to expose villains, but to illuminate patterns, to understand the subtle, insidious ways in which our vital energy, our very soul essence, can be siphoned away. We have unmasked the psychic seducer, whose charm is a sophisticated snare, preying on our yearning for connection and validation. We've seen the psychic martyr, whose self-sacrificial theatrics bind us in webs of guilt and obligation, subtly draining our compassion until it curdles into resentment. And we confronted the psychic controller, whose insatiable need for dominance suffocates our autonomy, eroding our will and dimming our inner light. Each archetype, distinct in its methodology, yet unified in its impact. The systematic, often unconscious extraction of your energetic resources. This exploration, however, was never about succumbing to fear or fostering paranoia. Its true purpose was to equip you, the highly sensitive individual, the empath, the intuitive soul, with a profound, unshakable understanding. The questions that have haunted you. Why do I feel so drained after certain interactions? Why do I constantly doubt my own perceptions, even when my gut screams otherwise? Am I truly too sensitive for this world, or is there something else at play? Find their answers not in your inherent flaw, but in the sophisticated, often unconscious predatory dynamics that have surrounded you. You are not too much. You have simply been operating without the complete map, without the full lexicon of the energetic exchanges occurring beneath the surface of everyday life. Your experiences of feeling misunderstood, exploited, or like your generosity is always taken for granted, are not figments of an overactive imagination. They are empirical evidence of these very forces at play, meticulously designed to exploit the very gifts that make you extraordinary. The why behind your chronic exhaustion and self-doubt is rooted in an unacknowledged battle for your energetic sovereignty. The how to overcome it lies in awareness and conscious strategy. Carl Jung observed a frightening transformation in individuals who were deeply sensitive, individuals much like yourselves, who were often overwhelmed by the psychic currents of the world. But his insight was not a prophecy of doom, it was a prescient call to conscious evolution. For too long, sensitivity has been mislabeled as a weakness, a vulnerability to be overcome or hidden, a defect that demands correction. Today, we shatter that archaic paradigm. Your sensitivity is not a deficit. It is your ultimate superpower, your most potent weapon. It is the sophisticated radar that picks up the subtlest energetic shifts, the nuanced intentions, the hidden agendas that others miss entirely. It is the deep wellspring of empathy that allows for profound connection, but also, if unmanaged, leaves you exposed. The key lies in transformation, not of your essence, but of your strategy. A redefinition of your role from an unwitting victim to a master strategist of your own energy field. This transformation is about reclaiming your power, not by becoming less sensitive, but by becoming consciously sensitive. The journey from victim to powerful, strategically aware individual begins with this profound recognition. It starts with the unwavering validation of your own experiences. Your intuition, that quiet, insistent voice within, is not to be dismissed. It is your internal compass, forged in the fires of countless observations and energetic registrations, refined by every encounter, every subtle discomfort. Trust it implicitly. The feeling of unease, the subtle shift in atmosphere, the inexplicable exhaustion after certain encounters. These are not random occurrences. They are vital pieces of intelligence from your inner world, signals that a boundary has been crossed or an energetic extraction is underway. The why of your unease is a warning. The how to heed it is through radical self-trust. This awakening transforms your sensitivity from a porous membrane into a discerning filter. It allows you to become an alchemist of your own experiences, transmuting the lead of exploitation into the gold of wisdom and resilience. We spoke of shadow integration not as a mere psychological exercise, but as the active process of reclaiming all parts of yourself, including the parts that can say no without explanation, the parts that can assert your needs unapologetically, the parts that can strategically disengage without the corrosive weight of guilt or obligation. It means embracing your inner warrior, not to fight or dominate, but to protect, to establish boundaries so clear and so firm that they become invisible shields, deflecting the subtle incursions before they can even take root. This process fortifies your psychic immune system, making you resilient to the very forces that once depleted you. This is the path to conscious transformation, to use your gifts strategically, not just to survive, but to truly thrive. It's about setting boundaries that honor your energetic sovereignty, not out of malice or coldness, but out of absolute self-preservation and self-respect. It's about recognizing the psychological games being played and consciously choosing not to participate, choosing instead to redirect your energy towards what genuinely nourishes and uplifts you. It's about understanding that your radiant energy, your profound capacity for empathy, is a precious resource that must be guarded and consciously directed, rather than passively surrendered to those who would deplete it. You are not destined to be a victim of these unseen forces. You are destined to become their master, understanding their mechanics and navigating them with unparalleled wisdom and strength, turning every past experience into a lesson in empowerment. Your intuition, once a source of overwhelming, often confusing input, now becomes your most trusted guide, showing you precisely where to invest your precious energy and from whom to create healthy, protective distance. Your empathy, once a burden that left you depleted and vulnerable, becomes a tool for conscious, intentional connection, allowing you to choose relationships that reciprocate, that uplift, that genuinely nourish your soul, rather than leaving you hollow. This is not about building impenetrable walls around your heart, but about cultivating a magnificent, thriving garden within your own being, protected by awareness, nourished by intention, and blooming with authentic, unassailable power. The prediction for those who embark on this path is a life lived with greater clarity, deeper connection, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. The profound lesson embedded in Jung's insights, and echoed in our journey today, is that true power does not come from dominating others, nor from passive endurance, but from mastering oneself. It is found in the courage to look inward, to understand the dynamics that have shaped us, and to consciously choose a new trajectory. The world desperately needs your gifts, your profound sensitivity, your intuitive insights, your capacity for genuine connection. But it needs them emanating from a place of strength, clarity, and protected energetic integrity. You are not meant to be a silent observer of your own depletion. You are called to be the architect of your own empowerment, the fierce, vigilant guardian of your own soul, living proof that sensitivity is the ultimate strength. So as we draw this chapter to a close, consider this. How has your understanding of your own sensitivity, your empathy, and your past experiences of feeling drained or misunderstood fundamentally shifted today? And what is the very first concrete step you will take to reclaim your energetic sovereignty? If this profound journey into the hidden dynamics of human connection has resonated with your soul, if you feel a stirring of recognition or a renewed sense of empowerment, then I urge you to take a moment. Your engagement is not just a metric, it is an act of solidarity, a signal that this message matters. Hit that like button. It's a simple gesture, yet it tells the algorithms that this deep dive into Jung's insights and the nature of psychic predators is vital, deserving to reach more highly sensitive individuals who are questioning their perceptions, feeling drained, or seeking validation and strength. Let us amplify this knowledge together. But more importantly, I implore you to share your thoughts, your experiences, and your reflections in the comments below. Have you encountered these subtle, draining influences in your own life? What strategies have you discovered to protect your inner sanctuary and maintain your energetic sovereignty? Your wisdom is a beacon for others on this path. Let us forge a community of conscious awareness, where experiences are validated and collective insights illuminate the way forward. Every story shared becomes a piece of the larger puzzle, helping us all to understand, adapt, and ultimately thrive. And if you know someone who feels misunderstood, exploited, or is yearning to transform their sensitivity from a perceived weakness into an undeniable power, then please share this video. You might just be the catalyst for their awakening, providing them with the understanding and validation they desperately need to begin their own journey of profound transformation and self-reclamation. This exploration, however, is merely the beginning of your empowered journey. If you are hungry for more, if you wish to delve deeper into the practical application of these profound truths, to truly understand how to fortify your spirit and consciously integrate your shadow aspects for ultimate resilience, I highly recommend watching our companion video. To see someone's true character, pay attention to just two things. It offers concrete, actionable strategies drawn from Jungian principles to equip you with the tools necessary to defend your inner world against any predatory influence and to channel your unique sensitivity into an unassailable strength. Remember, your sensitivity is not a vulnerability. It is a finely tuned instrument of perception, a profound gift that, once understood and strategically wielded, becomes your greatest strength. The power to understand, to protect, and to not just survive, but to truly thrive lies within you, waiting to be consciously awakened. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay empowered, and never underestimate the transformative strength of your own magnificent soul.